Okay, in today's topic, we discuss on speed, and the learning objective is to recognize the relationship between speed, distance, and time, and to calculate average speed from distance and time, and also to calculate distance traveled from the speed and time taken, and also to calculate the time taken on a journey from the speed and the distance. So these are the key words we have. Or before we embark on this, students need to know how to multiply and divide, and students should also be familiar with common units for speed. So we have to be familiar for the common unit of speed. So these are the relationship between speed, distance, and time. So we say the relationship between speed, time, and distance can be expressed in three ways. The first one, we say that speed simply gives us distance divided by time. That's the first. And the distance is also speed multiplied by time, while time is distance divided by what? Speed. So this triangle here helps us to memorize it very easy. That we have our d to be distance, so d distance means this times this, s times t, that's speed times time, and each of the speed is distance over time, while time is distance over speed. Okay, now in this case we equally say that our speed is measured in, we measured speed in kilometer per hour. We measure speed in kilometer per hour, or we measure speed in meter per seconds. How do we get this? We know that distance is measured using kilometer or meter. These are the two units for distance. We use kilometer or meter to measure distance. And also time, we use hour to measure time, or we use seconds to measure time. So we have that speed, which gives us what? Distance over time, and distance is kilometer over hour. That's why we have it kilometer per hour, and we still have it to be, or we have it to be meter per second, meter per second. So that's how we derive the unit. Okay, now let's look at some question under that. From this question, we are told that a cyclist travel a distance of 156 meters in 1 hour 45 minutes. What was our average speed? Okay, now from here we note that the distance d is 156 kilometer, and the time t is 1 hour 45 minutes. So what I'm going to do here is that this minute, I'm going to convert this minutes to 1 hour, to hours. And how am I going to convert this? And note that you have to note that 60 minutes is equal to 1 hour. Is it not? 60 minutes gives us 1 hour. Then 45 minutes will give us how many hours? If I cross multiply, I will have this to be 45 divided by what? 60. So if I divide 45 by 60, 45 divided by 60, I'll have what? 0.75. So this gives us 0.75 hour. Then what I'm going to do here is that my time gives me 1 hour plus 0.75, which gives me what? 1.75 hours. So please, you must convert the minutes to hour. Okay, now we now have the speed. We're looking for the average speed because speed is always mentioned using what? Average. The speed gives us what? If we use the triangle, okay, we have it to be that okay, here is distance, speed, time. Okay, speed means distance over time. Speed is distance over time. Time is distance over speed. Distance is this multiplied by this. See that? This multiplied by this divided by this divided by this. Okay, now we have this to be what? This is distance 156 kilometer and time 1.75 meter hours. Okay, so if I divide that, what do you think we have? 156 divided by 1.75, we have what? We have what? 89.12 kilometer per hour. So that's how we solve the problem. Okay, now let's look at another example. Now in this example, this says that a cyclist traveled from her home to Musafir in 3 hours at an average speed of 100 kilometer per hour. Let me put down the statement first. A cyclist traveled from her home to Musafir in 3 hours. Time is what? 3 hours. Okay, at an average speed. Speed is what? 100 kilometer per hour. Okay, how far? Distance. How far? That's distance. How far is it from the cyclist home to what? Musafir. We're looking for the distance. Distance we don't know. Okay, now if I quickly draw the triangle, which I have here to be my distance, here is my speed and here is my time, and this multiplied by this give me this. Why we divide this, we have this, we divide this, we have this. Okay, now I'm looking for distance. Now distance will be what? Speed times time. Okay, so distance, which I'm looking for, how far, simply means speed times time, and the speed is what? 100 kilometer over hour. That's per hour, it means over hour, times time is 3 hours. Okay, so if I remove the hours, this times this, that is 3 times 100, that gives us 300 kilometer. So the distance is 300 kilometer. Okay, now the other one says if the cyclist travel back home from Musafir at a distance of 120 kilometer, if he traveled back home from Musafir at a distance of 120 kilometer, how far will it take her? How far will it take her? That's, we're looking for the time. If she takes an average speed of what? 40 kilometer per hour. Okay, we are looking for time. Now let's look at this. If I'm looking for time, time means d divided by what? By x. So the time means what? Distance over speed, and distance we have here is 120 kilometer, while the speed we have is what? 40 kilometer per hour. So if I cancel this now, this cancel this gives us what? Our time is 3 hours. So 3 hours will be our time. Okay, so that's how we solve that. Now let's look at the final question here. This says what? This says that a plane travels at an average speed of 300 km per hour, average speed of what? Of 300 km per hour. The plane travels 900 km. It travels 900 km. That is the distance it travels is 9,000 km. Calculate how long the plane journey took. So how long the plane journey took we are looking for. That means that our time is distance over speed, and the distance we have here is 9,000 km, while speed is 300 km per hour. So if I divide this 3 into here gives me 30. Okay, so we have this to be 30 hours. 30 hours gives me the time, how long it travels. Okay, so that's 30 hours. Okay, now let's look at this final question. The same thing happens here. This says the distance between two cities is this. We mentioned that the distance between two cities is 4,200 kilometers. That's the distance. What is the average speed of a journey from one to the other if it takes 8 hours 45 minutes? Okay, the time there is 8 hours 45 minutes. So I'm going to convert this 45 minutes. Know that 60 minutes makes 1 hour. Then 45 minutes we make how many hours? Cross multiply. I have 45 divided by 60, which I have to be 0.75. Okay, therefore the time will be 8 plus 0.75. I'm going to add it to 8. Okay, so that gives us 8.75 hours. Okay, now we are asked to find what is the average speed, and the speed we know, if I draw my triangle, I know that this is speed, this is time, this is distance. So speed is distance over time, and distance is what? 420 kilometer, while time is 8.75 hours. So we find the speed. So we have this to be 420 divided by 8.75. So that gives us what? 48. So the speed is 48 kilometer per hours. So that is how we solve the problem. Now in this case also, if Sam covered the distance at an average speed of this, how long would it take? How long? We are looking for what? The distance. How long? So we know that distance means speed times time.